Vacations should be about relaxation and not about wrestling with your suitcase. In this video, I'm going to share with you 30 packing mistakes that could absolutely ruin your next vacation. I would also like to thank, before we get started, Level 8 Suitcases for sponsoring this live stream. More about Level 8 later, but they make really great suitcases at really reasonable prices. All right, so let's get right into mistake number one that could totally ruin your vacation. And I know this is basic, but it has to be said here because people continue to make this mistake even though they've heard it and even though they know it, which is packing liquids that are much too large into your carry-on suitcase. The rule in most of the world is bottles have to be the size of 100 milliliters or 3 ounces. It doesn't really matter how much liquid is in the bottle, but that has to be the size of the bottle. And then some places have this rule that they have to fit into like a quart-size Ziploc bag or a big Ziploc bag. Now, there's people all the time that, buy something. I did it myself just recently. Put my big sunscreen in my carry-on suitcase. Or in my carry-on. I was checking luggage in, but I just put the sunscreen and I put it in my backpack, and that didn't make it through security. We didn't have sunscreen for a couple days. We had to go buy more sunscreen. Something like sunscreen probably won't ruin your vacation, but there could certainly be things that could. The other thing is definitely not packing sharps into your carry-on. I have some nail trimmers that I carry with. I have some that are like the flat ones. I've got other ones that are cuticle cutters, and transiting through Singapore, they pop that through the x-ray and they're like, too sharp, sir. Can't take those with you. No time to check it. Just have to throw it away. Hate it when that happens. If you do need to take liquids that come to you in big containers, put them in small containers. If all you're doing is carry-ons, you can have 300 milliliter containers all with the same shampoo if that's what you really want, but the containers have to be small. All right, mistake number 2 that could ruin your vacation is packing liquids in fragile containers. This one can be very detrimental, particularly if you're carrying liquids that stain. I am thinking about wine, particularly wine of the red variety. If you are traveling with fragile liquids like that, you will want to get something that cushions them. There are actually like inflatable wine bags that they sell that you can put the wine in it, you can inflate it, it seals from the top, and so even though if the bottle does break, it's totally fine. There are things that'll not break but explode that you might not think of. One example is a couple years ago when we were in Hawaii, we wanted to bring back this Hawaiian garlic shrimp marinade. And it's in a plastic bottle, so you wouldn't think it would break. But actually at the store, they had a little sign that says, be careful carrying this on the airline because due to the pressure, it often makes this thing pop. Which, since we heard that, we put it in a whole bunch of bags and sealed it and tied it. And sure enough, they did indeed kind of like pop out and the things oozed out because of how tightly that was packed. So anytime you've got liquids, definitely beware. Laurel on the live stream said, "This is the thing that makes me absolutely crazy about traveling and always irritates me. I've started buying products that are not liquid to replace the usual ones that I buy that are liquid." Laurel, that's a great plan, and then you don't have to worry about taking your liquids at all. Okay, let's see. Mistake number 3 is packing prescription medications without the prescription information. Yes, those prescription medications that we get often come in very big bottles, and it might be convenient to take them out of the big bottles and put them in those little pill organizers that say like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, except if you do get like searched in a foreign country and you have a bunch of pills and they're not labeled, you're going to spend a lot of time answering questions. So make sure the prescription medications that you take with you, even if it means they're in a large container, that you take those large containers so that you have the prescription information with you about what those pills are. Mistake number 4 that could totally derail your vacation, also relates to medications but of a different variety, is bringing over-the-counter medications that are legal in your country that are not legal in the country you are going to. The number one example I'll give of this one is Claritin D right here. This, I use Claritin D. It's a really great allergy medication, but the medication inside Claritin D, this Sudafed, as it's often called, illegal in Japan without a prescription. And so I don't have a prescription for Claritin D because it's over the counter in the US. And so if I'm bringing this into Japan, that would absolutely be considered contraband. So beware of those things. Now, it also goes without saying, if you're bringing in something that is considered a drug, for example, marijuana, maybe legal in some parts of the US, not legal in many countries. Beware of that. Also beware about the airports that you're transiting, because just because it's legal where you started and legal where you're ending, it might not be legal where you're transiting. And this has popped people who have like ingested marijuana and then they transit in some place like Singapore where it's illegal, but then they're under the influence of marijuana, and then that's considered a significant crime in that place. So beware even of those over-the-counter medications. Kathy says, how do you know if something is banned? Yeah, that's one of those. You'll just have to search. I would say, like, Japan, you could do like search for like common banned medications. And Grant says, even with a prescription, they still ban certain meds. And that is definitely even more challenging. Kelly says, I've had a travel-sized can of hairspray go off and empty in my suitcase. Thankfully, it happened in the hotel and not the airport. That definitely would have been bad, Kelly. That would have been bad. Katie says, will you get in trouble or just get it taken away? Katie, I mean, I guess I have two answers on this. I think one probably depends on, like, how much of it you have. I think for a lot of these over-the-counter things, you'll probably just get it taken away because most airport authorities are reasonable. I say most. Not all. If you're traveling to certain countries in the world, and I won't go ahead and name any particular regimes, they might use things like this as a reason to be like, aha, you've got this. The thing that why you just shouldn't do it is because even if you do get it taken away and that's all that happens, you don't want to spend another 3 hours in customs talking to people there, because that's what it's going to end up being, as opposed to them just going, hey, you can't have this, can I throw it away? It'll probably end up being a bit more than that. Yes, and Grant says you could also be fined and you could possibly be banned from going back, again, really depending upon the country. This is an interesting one. Mike says, cocoa leaves are legal in Bolivia and Ecuador. All right. And Grant says, be careful leaving Peru. Cocoa leaves are legal there. People chew on it or drink the tea for altitude sickness. It's illegal in all other countries. And yes, this is like, I don't have this one on the list, but I'm going to mention it here. It's not for like illegal medications, but beware in Italy. If you go to Italy and you buy some fake Louis Vuitton stuff on the street, and you pack that fake Louis Vuitton stuff in your suitcase, and then you're going through the airport and customs check it, it is illegal for you to have fake designer stuff in Italy. Like, they've tried to figure out, like, how do they make it a crime? They can't catch all the people that sell it because they sell it on the street, and so they're also going to criminalize people who basically like buy it and export it from the airport. So be aware of buying fake designer goods on the street in Italy, packing it in your luggage, because again, if they look at it, that's considered a crime. This is like one of those like nuances from all these different countries in the world, but it's worthwhile to look into those different things. Certainly if you watch a Yellow Productions video on countries that I've done, I'll let you know about those little things. All right, mistake number 5 is overstuffing your carry-on. Your carry-on or your check-in, but particularly your carry-on. Because what I see people do with carry-ons is they get carry-on suitcases, and not this one here from level 8, but they get carry-on suitcases that have a expander zipper on them, and then they expand that zipper because they need more room, and all of a sudden their suitcase is now too fat to go onto the plane, right? Like when you have a suitcase and they have the expansion zipper, it's when they're closed that they're carry-on size, and when they're big, they no longer are, and you need to check them on. So definitely beware of using any of those expansion zippers for your carry-on. There was also a comment before from Jack. He said it would also be a mistake to pack so much stuff in your suitcase that you don't leave room for souvenirs, because now you've bottled this stuff and you have no place to pack it into. So always make sure you leave a little extra room while you're packing so that you can bring things home with you. Okay. So mistake number 7 is packing into a low this is an interesting picture. What's the picture that should be here? This should be the picture. No, we've got number 6. All right, we're on number 6. This is right. All right. Tip number 6 is packing, or mistake number 6 is packing everything into one giant suitcase. I see this mistake a lot, particularly for people that are riding on trains in Japan and Europe. If it's their first trip to those places, they're like, well, you know what? It's going to be so much easier if I just put everything in one suitcase because I've now only got one suitcase to move around. But when the suitcase is gigantic, then you have no place to put that gigantic suitcase because you can't put it in the overhead on trains. It won't even fit in the seats. It won't even fit into backs of taxis. Yes, I know it'll cost you a little bit more money to check a second bag, but if you're going to be moving around a lot, I think it is worthwhile to actually put your stuff into a couple different bags, or just figure how you don't take so much stuff that you need a gigantic suitcase. I am not team only carry-on. Yes, it can be useful to just carry on. There's a lot of reasons why. If you misconnect or things like that, you don't have like luggage that's weighing you down to get other flights. But if you're going for a long time, if you're going for a few weeks, you're going to places where the weather's cold, you need to pack big clothes, you are going to want to check luggage. Just don't take the huge luggage. Nestor says, no number overlays today. Nestor, when I do the pictures, I don't do the number overlays because then they kind of end up being duplicative. Instead, I have a picture for every number. And yes, Brandon says, they are the Panda AI images. Yes, I'm using Adobe Firefly again for a lot of our imagery. This one was asking Adobe Firefly to give me a picture of a panda pulling a suitcase that was much too big, and the panda was tired. Is that what that picture looks like? I think that's what that looks like. All right. So now we are at mistake number 7. Mistake number 7 that could totally ruin your vacation is packing into a low quality suitcase, particularly a single wheeled suitcase. This right here is a suitcase I saw at IKEA the other day. And here, let me make this. I'm not like, I actually love IKEA, but I would never buy this suitcase from IKEA. This suitcase is $89 from IKEA. And do you see that wheel down there? Single wheeled suitcases are so hard to pull around. They get like stuck on cobblestones. They're really a miserable experience on single-wheeled suitcases. I've never bought IKEA luggage, but I've bought luggage when I first got it started in Target, and like those suitcases would last 1 or 2 trips maybe before the zippers would break or before the wheels would break. Which brings us to the sponsor of this video, Level 8 Suitcases. And so we're going to take that picture off the screen. This video is sponsored by Level 8 Suitcases. And so it would totally not be a mistake for you to pack your stuff into a Level 8 suitcase. I've got 2 of them right here, but they make good quality suitcases at reasonable prices. I even see Boston Elevators say Level 8 bags always. Anybody who has purchased a Level 8 bag on my recommendation has given me good feedback about it. They've enjoyed it. What's also been really cool is I've been seeing a lot of Level 8 bags in the wild, particularly this one right here, the Voyager suitcase. This one's kind of cool. It is a like double color. It's got yellow and black. This is actually how I kind of got involved with Level 8 Suitcase, because they had this yellow and black one, and I was like, I would love to take that one out on a trip to Australia. Their big check-in one of these comes in a trunk kind of variety. And then this one right here, Level 8, has been getting into more premium suitcases in addition to what I'll call the value line. This one right here, this is the Captain suitcase. This is an all aluminum suitcase. And so if you're looking for suitcases that will be a bit more durable, last longer, definitely metals will last longer, and definitely looking at closures that aren't zippers but are like snaps like this, because the number one thing that breaks is the zipper followed by the wheels. And so if you get the snaps, then it avoids that. A unique thing about this Captain suitcase right here is this handle. The handle stows away all the way into the suitcase. Can you see this? So there's like no handle on the top, and you push this button right here, whoop, and then the handle comes out. It's also kind of a wide handle, and so that's unique. It makes it pretty sturdy. But what I love about this handle going all the way into the suitcase is now you have like a table to use at the airport, like put your food on it, put your feet. I've used this in the airport to eat off of in places where there have been no tables, and you can see nice wheels, not single wheels, double wheels. If you are interested, or you've been hearing me talk about level 8 suitcases and you're on the fence, now is the time to pick one up. Why is that? Well, because from today, July 8th till July 17th, Level 8 is having a 20% off sale on their website. All of their products with this code for their anniversary sale. Just use code L8SS. And if I were to read this out, I would call it lates. So if you're gonna buy it, make sure you buy it by July 17th. Otherwise, you'll be too late. All right. All the dad jokes all the time here. Just ask me anytime you want any more. All right. Thank you to Level 8 for sponsoring this video. Okay. And so you'll find that code in the pinned comment in the top. And also in the description of this video. If you're watching the archive, you'll also find it in a pinned comment. Bricks and Joysticks says, I will be checking it out for a new carry-on. Awesome Bricks and Joysticks. And if you're interested in the Voyager one, they also have like a set. The carry-on is $229, and you can buy a set with the check-in for $459 total. Like, it's about $50 off if you get both the check-in and the carry-on together, so you can take a look at those sets as well. Laurel says, I've seen people bring heavy-duty IKEA plastic bags as suitcases. That's one way to do it. It's one way to do it. I mean, I guess if you can't afford the suitcase and you're not worried about it breaking, that's one way to do it. But I've seen a lot of cheap suitcases on the conveyor belt at airports just splayed open because all of their contents just going out like that. So I would hate to be that person. Grant also points out Level 8 has the Voyager and the Alpha backpack set. All right, thank you for that tip, Grant. Okay, pulling the pictures back up here again. Mistake number 8 that could ruin your vacation is using a non-waterproof suitcase at a wet destination. If you know you're going to be going someplace that's going to have a lot of rain coming down from the sky, you will want something that is a hard side suitcase. You will not want something that is a soft side suitcase. This is the fantastic Eat, Sleep, and Repeat Yellow Productions duffel bag. It's really cool. I like to take it around. We put a lot of our snacks on our road trips into that, but that's not the suitcase I'm going to want to be taking out if I am in a typhoon and it's going to be really wet. I have had those issues where you might think, well, my suitcase will be dry. It's in the airport. It's between planes. It's got to get out of the plane into the airport somehow. And a lot of times it goes out during the weather, and your stuff inside can get really soaked if it is a soft-sided suitcase. Maybe soft-sided are okay for carry-ons, but I would not get a soft-sided suitcase for a check-in, for anything that you're worried about getting wet. If all you're using is your duffel bag, this is something we do. We bring a duffel bag with us so that we can take our dirty clothes and put them in the duffel bag as we go. And then now we have room in our main luggage for breakable souvenirs that we bought, because now it's in a hard-sided case, and then all of our dirty clothes on our way back just go into the duffel bag, and we don't really care at that point if they get wet or soaked on their way back, because it's just a bag of dirty clothes. Okay. Mistake number 9 that could totally ruin your vacation is not packing layers into your personal item for the airplane flight. Sometimes airplanes are super hot, sometimes airplanes are super cold, but sometimes airplanes, if they're super cold, have blankets. Other times they don't. And I've seen many, many people on airplanes that are super cold that are sitting there, and they ask the flight attendants, do you have any blankets? And they're just there like this because they were coming from a tropical destination, or they're going to a tropical destination, and so they're in almost nothing, but they're freezing for the 10 hours that they're going there. Make sure you have jackets, and if you're someone that gets cold on the head, maybe even have a hoodie. Doesn't mean you have to wear it on, but have it in your carry-on just in case. Okay, mistake number 10 is packing for all extreme weather conditions, all in the same suitcase, all for the same trip. I put this picture up here because we were in Banff, and I'm wearing a winter jacket and shorts in standing on a glacier, or right next to a glacier at least. But in most places, you're not going to have all extreme weather conditions. In most places, you're going to have one or the other. Do you need to pack for cold? Do you need to pack for hot? And what's it going to be? The other thing I would recommend is if you know that your trip is going to be like you're going to a cold place and you're going to a hot place, figure out how you can either section your suitcase, or you can have different suitcases to be like, this is my one for the cold weather destination, and this is my one for the hot weather destination. Maybe you even send your hot weather destination ahead, but you generally don't need to pull that stuff together, because if you do, you're just going to be carrying way too much stuff everywhere you go. Mistake number 11 that could totally ruin your vacation. It's happened to a friend of mine recently, actually in Banff, is going to an icy destination and not bringing ice cleats. For those of us that are from warm parts of the world, we might not be familiar with these things, but people who live in icy places generally are. What are these things? These are things you can put on your shoes that are spikes, so that if you're going in places that are icy, it could be city streets, it could be hiking trails, you actually get some traction on your feet. Why can this ruin your vacation if you don't have them? Because you slip and you fall and you get really hurt, and that's a real drag for your location. So take a look into these if you're going to icy places. The two kind of types that you would look at: if you're going to be doing some serious hiking and really like icy, snowy things, then you'll want the ones that are spikes like this. If you're going to be just in like city areas where you're maybe on pavement that is icy, they've got some that are like bungee cords that have wire wrapped around them. They're not as deep spikes, but they will give you traction in icy places. Not related to icy, but there are a couple comments about being cold or hot on the plane. HD Jab says, I always bring zip-off pants, the same pair that I used to wear in Scouts. Zip-off pants, absolutely fantastic. That is something that I wear a lot of when I go to Thailand or Singapore, places where it's like super hot outside, but then super cold on the inside. Angie agrees that being cold on the plane is awful. Grant recommends bringing a microfiber towel blanket and put it in a stuffable neck cushion. All right, very cool. Canyon Overlook says, would you ever wear shorts on the plane? I wouldn't. Canyon Overlook, when I would wear shorts on a plane is if I am going from one hot destination to another hot destination and they're near each other. So if I'm, for example, traveling from my home in Southern California to Las Vegas in August, I'll wear shorts on the plane. It's a 1-hour Southwest flight. Regardless of how cold that plane is, I'll be good for the hour. But if I'm ever doing any transcontinental stuff, or I'm going from LA to New York City, or I'm going to Japan, or I'm going to London, I'm going to have pants. Absolutely. Because I can't suffer the cold for that long. All right. Okay. Jeff says, I have never worn them in the street, but got them for going across an ice rink surface, and I know how to skate. All right, that's interesting. I would imagine these would be pretty good for going across an ice rink surface. Okay. Mistake number 12 would be if you're going someplace that has wet weather, not bringing yourself a pair of waterproof shoes. There's another one where, like, those of us from hot, sunny, and dry places, Arizona comes to mind, you have a lot of shoes that are like fabric and breathable, which are great until you go to a place like Seattle or Vancouver or Raincouver, where it like rains all the time. Your feet get soaked, and then you're just having a bad day because now you get blisters, and you want your feet inside your shoes to stay dry. This doesn't mean you need to bring galoshes. You don't need to bring like some rubber thing. I like these Hokas right here. These are Hokas with Gore-Tex, and so they're a comfortable sneaker, but they're also waterproof. Wouldn't look like it, but they indeed keep the water out. So take a look at waterproof shoes going to a wet destination. Mistake number 13 is going to a hot and humid destination and dressing like you usually do in your cold and dry destination. For example, wearing jeans in Bangkok, Thailand, for those of us who are not from there, will make you feel like you want to spontaneously combust. Like in a hot and humid destination, jeans just trap the humidity, they trap the heat, they're so hot you will never cool down. You also don't really want cotton in hot and humid tropical destinations. You want silk, you want wicking type materials. For me, even in Bangkok, you'll notice I'm wearing a different yellow shirt because my cotton yellow shirt would just get way too wet and soaked and never dry. And so I bought this one from one of the markets in Thailand for like $10 US. I mean, and it's like this beautiful silk shirt that was so cool. I loved it. I did have to launder it at the hotel like every other day that I would wear it because I didn't bring enough with me. But make sure you have your hot and humid wicking clothes. Grant right there says, I bought some linen pants and shirt and some moisture wicking clothing. That is awesome, Grant. Chris says, Hokas are the best. I'm glad you enjoy those for shoes. Brandon gives a little Vancouver. Grant says, do you have any recommendation for something for the beach, dress up, canyoneering, etc.? Those are a lot of different things. I think I have a tip about, like, for the beach, making sure you wear sunscreen. But I mean, like, those are, like, if you're like, what are appropriate clothes for all those places? I don't know that I'm the fashion authority to, like, pick one out for all of those things necessarily together. Kathy says, we went to Tokyo Disney and it rained and our shoes got soaked. I had to use the hairdryer to dry them. Yeah, one place that I am an overpacker, where I am definitely an overpacker, is in shoes. I will generally, if I'm on a long trip, like I'm in a 2-week trip, I will bring 3 pairs of shoes. I will bring the pairs that are on my feet that I take on the airplane, and I will bring 2 more pairs of shoes. Maybe 1 more, depending. But if it's a wet destination, then I'll definitely bring my wet shoes. If I'm hiking, I might want my shoes for hiking, and then I might want my shoes for every day. Of course, the shoes that I'm missing are any dress shoes, because Chris doesn't really wear dressy shoes to nice things. I'll wear my Hoka or Nike sneakers wherever I go. Even when I got married, yes, Nike Airs at the wedding. Point Traveler says, Chris, you need to snag a Hoka sponsorship. If you know anybody who works at the Hoka marketing department, definitely hook a brother up. All right. Mistake number 14. This is the inverse of going to someplace hot and humid. Mistake number 14 is going to someplace hot and dry, like Las Vegas, and not bringing warm clothes for the nighttime. I see people make this mistake over and over again to Vegas. They're like, it's 100 degrees in the daytime. I only need shorts and t-shirts or skirts. Or tank tops. I don't need a jacket. I don't need pants. And you'd be wrong, because Las Vegas the temperature can drop 30 or 40 degrees overnight because it is not humid. Humid places, the temperature difference between the daytime and the nighttime is very little because the humidity keeps that heat in the air. But places where it's dry, as soon as the sun goes down, the temperature drops way, 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 way down. So if you're going to a hot and dry place, think desertish places, even though they're hot in the day, make sure you've got cold weather clothes at night. I see this for people at Disneyland all the time in my home here in Southern California, where people are vastly unprepared for how cold Disneyland gets at night when they're waiting around for the parade. People having to go to the Disneyland gift shops and buy big fleece jackets because they're like, got a couple more hours before the parade and I am about to freeze. All right. Mistake number 15 is packing new shoes for your trip. Oh boy, this is one I hear from people all the time. Every time I mention this tip or mistake, depending upon how it's phrased in a video, there are always people who are like, Chris, I did this and it was awful, because new shoes that aren't broken in or that you don't know are comfortable lead to blisters. And blisters on your first or second day on vacations where you're walking a lot really puts a damper on your vacation. So make sure you're bringing shoes that you've worn before. Even if that means they're worn and dirty, that's better than the new shoes. Don't do it. All right, I'm thirsty. What's Chris drinking today? Today I am drinking a Ito N black milk tea, product of Thailand, of all places. Has a nice, almost Earl Grey type of black tea to it with a nice sweet milk. It says shake well. It has a cow on it. All right. It's a cow, so you know it's a milk tea on the outside. All right. Mistake number 16 that could totally ruin your vacation is bringing only 1 pair of shoes. I just went through this one in the previous tip, which is you've only got 1 pair of shoes. Those shoes get wet, and then what do? They can get wet because it's rainy. They can get wet because you're walking at the beach and a big wave comes up. Or 1 pair of shoes also has a tendency to, like, give you more blisters. If you're prone to blisters, just changing shoes different days will really help your feet. Also changing shoes throughout the day. If your shoes get hot and yucky and wet because they're hot, just changing your socks and shoes out for different ones will really help. For me, so that I don't get blisters on my feet, I've also learned to pack lots of socks. I will have about 1.5 times the amount of days for socks. So if I'm going someplace for 10 days, I'll probably have about 15 pairs of socks. And on the days that are hot, yucky, I'm doing a lot of walking, halfway throughout the day, I'll switch out the shoes and the socks, and that really helps my feet not end up with a lot of blisters. Yes, Jeff points out a great time you can have getting wet is going to an amusement park and going on a water ride. Absolutely. The water comes in the log and you get wet. Now your shoes are wet, and that's a huge drag. Angie said I had to buy new shoes on her Disney World trip because my Skechers got ripped. I bought Columbia shoes and no blisters, doing 20K plus steps in 2 days in a row. Awesome to hear that the Columbia shoes were good for you, Angie, but that's a great point. How did your shoes get ripped? Did they get caught on something? Or Codge Full of Love. There's been a few questions about how's everyone in Cali staying cool. Justin says it's hot in the OC today. It's really hot today. And yes, I have AC. I started it. I started at like noon to cool the house down, so it was plenty cool for this live stream here because I've got like lots of lights going and lots of computers and lots of monitors, and it gets really hot if I don't have it on. Maybe you can even see a little bit of shine on my head from, even though I got the AC going, it is a little bit warm. My dad would say I needed to powder my forehead before I started this. Okay. Mistake number 17 that could ruin your vacation. Here's the other panda pulling that red suitcase, is bringing a wheeled suitcase to a sandy or snowy destination. Wheeled suitcases, really great if you're someplace that's flat and has pavement. Really lousy in the sand, kind of don't work. Also really lousy in the snow, really don't work. In those instances, you will be carrying your suitcases. And so if you're going to those types of destinations, it might be better not to get something with wheels, but to get something you can put on your back, or to get something that is more of a duffel bag, something you can carry and you don't have to roll. Lowell says, what about cell phone chargers? Where do you pack them? I pack cell phone chargers in my carry-on, in my backpack. That's where I put all my chargers, all my wires, all my batteries. I put them in my carry-on because I want to make sure I have them. It is another mistake that I have coming up of not remembering to have your chargers, but I think another one is putting them in your check-in, and then your check-in getting lost, and now you don't have them anymore. Like, your devices are only as useful as the chargers. If you're packing some of your devices, like your electronic devices that need chargers, might be reasonable to put the chargers with them because, well, if you lose the charger, you lose the device altogether. You don't need one without the other. But if you've got stuff on your person or in your carry-on, I would have the chargers with them. Colonel Zeppelin says, I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. I'm sure that's a quote by some famous person. Grant says, I recommend Body Glide to help with chafing, blisters, etc. Grant, that's a fantastic tip. I have it in my backpack that's in the other room. Yes, there's Body Glide you can get on Amazon. Dr. Scholl's makes a blister stick. They kind of look like a glue stick or something that you might have used in elementary school as a kid, but like you rub it on your skin and it kind of gives it a little bit of like a frictionless barrier made of like hardened petroleum jelly or something like that, like chapstick for it. So yes, great, fantastic tip. Okay. Mistake number 18. We're right here on the adapters, so perfect question before. Tip number 18 is not packing the all-important adapters. It's one thing to pack in the wrong place. It's another thing to not pack it entirely. In our family here in Yellow Productions, I have become known as the packer of chargers. So whatever electronics OC Girl is bringing, I'm responsible for the chargers, whether it's the USB-C charger or it's the Lightning charger. And I do have the privilege. The privilege of, I told you I pack all of it in my carry-on backpack, all the wires, all the cables, all the chargers. I put them all in this one red bag. And so if I don't take out that red bag during x-rays, 50% of the time I get popped for people to be like, sir, do you know you have a lot of wires in your bag? Or like, sir, your bag looks like a Best Buy shelf. I know it does. And so what I do, why it's all in one bag in my bag, is I take that bag out and I put it in a separate bin or whatever to go through the x-ray, so that if they do have to rifle through something, they don't have to rifle through all my stuff. They can just rifle through the one that has all the wires in it, and then they realize it's not a bomb, it's just somebody who likes to charge a lot of stuff. Remy says, got to go for those fast chargers. Ditch the USB-A. Yes, I like chargers from Anker. I like the 4 or 5 port chargers. They have some pretty good ones. USB, I tried, like anything I can get USB-C, I definitely go for USB-C. So I agree. M says, what would you do with traveling to Europe with plugins? I would travel with one adapter, like one international adapter, and then I would travel with a power strip that I could plug into that adapter so that I could plug lots of things into that. That is what I do. Boston Elevator says the Apple 20 watt is great. This is the little ones, right? The little ones, yeah, those are good too. I tend to have way too many devices, so that's why I need like 5 charging ports, and I carry 2 of them. So, like, yes, sometimes I'm sitting in my hotel room charging like 10 different things all at the same time. Not an exaggeration. Okay. Tip number 19 is neglecting, or mistake number 19, is neglecting the power of packing cubes. So many people, when they pack their suitcase, just throw stuff into it. And then if you're on a long trip over days, like, how do I get to it? Where is it? What's clean? What's dirty? Packing cubes, really great way to keep your suitcase organized. I like packing cubes by Eagle Creek. eBags makes great ones. The level 8 cases, you can buy them with packing cube sets. Their packing cubes are good too. I've inserted those into my mix of packing cubes. But I don't always do packing cubes. When I don't do packing cubes is if I'm on like a 2-day trip, and so I just like open the suitcase, I go to one place, so like dirty stuff can come out, clean stuff can come in. But anytime you're going to be stopping at like multiple locations and you're packing and you're repacking, packing cubes really help you stay organized on a long trip. Kathy says, I have tried travel cubes once, keep forgetting to use them. Kathy, I clearly need to come over to your house when you are packing to remind you to use them. All right. Brandon says, I'm very methodical on how I pack, but these are going to be a great asset for multi-day trips. Yeah, I think, like, and I have them in different sizes. So, like, I got big ones and small ones, and I put all my yellow shirts in one, and I put my underwear in a different one, and I put my swim gear in another, and I put my socks in another. And so, like, when I'm getting dressed, I can be like, okay, I need to take one item out of this one that's shirts, one item out of this one that's socks, one item out of this one that's underwear. If I want to swim, I've got all that gear in this one. If I want to sleep, I've got all my stuff in this one, and then it just stays very organized that way. OC Girl points out, thank you for the tip, OC Girl, that a great place to get packing cubes is from Daiso. Daiso is a Japanese discount store. It used to be called like 100 yen store. In the US now, things are $1.49, still really cheap. So yes, you can get packing cubes from Daiso. If you see the Eagle Creek bags for $10 or $15, you can get similar ones from Daiso for $1.50. Yes, Daiso, if you're anywhere near a Daiso, stop by there, check out the luggage aisle. Great stuff for really cheap prices to help you level up your stuff. Okay. Mistake number 20 that could ruin your vacation is not packing your sun safety gear. As someone who grew up in San Diego, I've seen this mistake over and over again, and it comes in 2 forms. 1 is the not bringing it, 2 is the not using it. It comes in 3 forms, and 3 is the not using it appropriately. So let me go through those. You're going to someplace sunny. What will you want? You will want some sunscreen for sure. You will want not SPF 5, 10, 30. You'll want like SPF 50 or SPF 70. You will want a hat because noses have a tendency to burn. You will want some sunglasses where it's really bright. If you're going to some place that has a lot of water, polarized sunglasses will really help you cut through the glare. Same thing if you've never used polarized glasses when you're driving, really helps cut down the glare from cars. Okay, so now let's talk about how to appropriately use sunscreen. If you're going to the beach, the time that you use sunscreen is when you are still in the hotel. That's the time to use sunscreen. Before you've gone out into the sun, that's the time to use your sunscreen. Otherwise, you drive there, you park, you're outside for 10 minutes, you're walking to the beach, then you put on your sunscreen, you're already burned. You're already burned if it's hot, or you're already like close to burn. So put it on before you leave the hotel. The other mistake people make is putting it on when they're wet. Doesn't work. Sunscreen doesn't work when you're wet. You need to be dry. Maybe it works a little bit. I mean, it's probably better than nothing. And you also need to reapply it. So if you're out all day, particularly if you're in the water, after 80 minutes, you'll need to reapply your sunscreen. Growing up in San Diego, I've seen so many people turn into lobsters after their first day at the beach. What I mean by lobsters, they're all red. And the next day, it's so painful that they can't go outside to enjoy their beach vacation anymore because they got so burned on the first day. All right. Grant says, if you don't have sunscreen, you might as well put butter on yourself because you're going to be a lobster. Grant, good minds think alike. And Carrie says, happy to join Yellow Productions live stream. Headed to Tokyo. Found your videos helpful to repair it. Thank you very much, Carrie O. And Chris says the sun is a deadly laser. Cottage Full of Love says reapplying is hard to remember. Set a timer. That is a good tip. Absolutely. Set a timer to remember to use that. Reapply the sunscreen. Mistake number 21 is packing breakables in your suitcase. This is a debate that OC Girl and I have a lot of times when we're places. We see something that's cool and we're like, we would love to bring the cuckoo clock back from Germany, or we would love to bring back some glass vase. And then the discussion becomes, okay, from this trip, we can probably only really hand carry one thing. We have a wooden cuckoo clock from Germany, from like the Black Forest in Germany, that we hand carried back because we knew if we put it in our suitcase, it was going to break. But I see so many people buy these expensive souvenirs. They're Stradivarius violin, for example, and they put it in their suitcase and they get home and their hundreds of dollar thing is worthless now because it broke in transit. So definitely be careful about packing breakables in your suitcase. If you are gonna, make sure they're wrapped really, really well, but even better, if you've got something fragile, just maybe consider one fragile thing and carry that thing with you to get home. Mistake number 22 is rushing to pack. This is another one that a lot of people make where they're the night before the trip, that's when they start to pack. And if you're packing the night before the trip, you are absolutely going to forget things because your brain just doesn't have enough time to think about all the things it needs. You're in a rush. You throw some stuff in there, and then of course you get to your destination and you don't have the things that you thought. So I generally like to start packing a few days before I go on vacation. The reason why is I want to also have enough time to make sure that if there's anything I need that I don't have or I can't find, I have time to go buy it. I have time to order it online and have it shipped to my house. So I need a couple days shipping time for that to work out. Yes, this is literally how I look packing for some trips. Does that look like enough yellow shirts for you right there? I can't wear anything else anymore. I can't wear anything else than yellow on trips. Okay, the other thing I like to do when I pack is not pack it all just right into the suitcase. When I pack, both OC Girl and I, we like to lay out our stuff. So if you've got a spare room, or if not, in your living room or your office or whatever, the stuff that you're gonna pack, lay it all out so that you can see it all. And then once you can look at it all and be aha, that's all the stuff that I need, then you can pack it. For us traveling with our daughter, the Curious Princess, OC Girl's put together a checklist. She's got a piece of paper, handwritten, that has all the stuff we need for her that include baby nail cutters and include some of her snacks, include baby sunscreen and all those things, so that we make sure we don't just have our stuff, but that we have her stuff too. Brandon Torres says, I have that sinking feeling if I forgot anything I need before a trip. And Boston Elevators says, I start packing a week early. Anything I need comes out of the dryer. I roll up and put it in. Tom says, I am so guilty of packing the night before. Hey, you know what they say? If you wait for the last minute, it only takes a minute, right? Can't take that long if you've waited until the night before. Mistake number 24 is not checking luggage restrictions. This is one of those where I was traveling with this Level 8 Captain suitcase right here on the Southwest Bag Sizer, but there are many people who will take a carry-on suitcase onto an airline, not because they've overstuffed it, but only to found it was too big, because different airlines have different restrictions for carry-ons, so make sure not just carry-ons, but also check-ins. Usually the check-in requirements aren't like dimensions. Carry-on requirements are dimensions because they have like a dimension in the overhead bin, but check-in requirements are usually linear dimensions where you add up the length, width, and height, and then like there's a number to be like it needs to be 62 inches or less if you add up the length, width, and height. So like, and I've seen airlines like literally go out and measure things to be like, I don't know, can we check this in or not, or do we have to charge you an extra $150 to check that thing in? Remy says, I find it useful to do packing trial runs and rehearsals, even if I need clothes the days before. I think it's worth it to gauge the content down to a T. That's a good tip, too, to be like, if you've spread all the stuff out, how do you know it's going to fit into the suitcase? I mean, that's worthwhile as well. You can put all the stuff out, then you can pack it in, then you can pack it out again and be like, could I pack that all in? Is it going to fit? Do I need other suitcases? As someone who has a lot of suitcases, if we can't fit in one, then we just upgrade to another one. We have if you come over to the Yellow Productions house, sometimes there's a joke if it looks like we're going to open a luggage store because of all the luggage reviews that we're doing. And I like to keep them because then I want to compare this one to this one to this one. Too many. All right, mistake number 24 is packing your most valuable belongings. If you truly have irreplaceable items, leave them at home or use hotel safes in the hotel. There's always these stories about people who traveled with this super valuable thing and it got lost and it got stolen. Maybe think about, do you have a different one? Do you have if you have a really fancy laptop, is that the one you want to travel with, or do you want to travel with a travel laptop? So think about traveling with things that maybe don't say rob me. I mean, some of us can even get robbed for things that aren't that valuable. Somebody stole Topher in my travel bag back in London some number of years ago. Was that worth anything to anybody other than me? Well, maybe all of y'all. But just know that things can absolutely not make it home when they go on travel. So just think about that as you're taking it with you, to be like, am I okay with this not coming home with me? That's kind of how we look at everything we take with us now. Mistake number 25 is not bringing a day pack for exploring. If you've got a big backpack on the airline, or you've only got these things, you'll probably still want something that you can go about around the day that's smaller, that you can put your stuff in. I tend to like the Metro Safe Pack Safe bags. This was like a Tokyo Disney or something like that. They love their stuffies at Tokyo Disney. So have a day pack for exploring. Tip number 26 when you're packing is ignoring the cultural norms of the destination. I mentioned Thailand because I feel like Thailand has a specific, certainly specific culture to things you need to wear while you're there in the temples and places like that. Not just Thailand, but there's definitely many other places in the world. But I love this picture with Ronald McDonald. When the Curious Princess saw this, she's like, Papa, what are you doing with Ronald McDonald? Right there. She's never seen a Ronald McDonald in the classic Thai welcome pose. But for example, in Thailand, if you're going into temples, you can't wear shorts, you can't wear skirts, you can't have bare shoulders. And so those are the things you don't want to figure out when you're there, Because if you do figure that out when you're there, now you need to buy some really expensive stuff from the dude that's selling it right in front of the temple instead of bringing it with you so that you're prepared to be able to go and enjoy those things in your destination. Remy says, what do you think about packing a spare cheap tablet for the kiddos in case it fails during a long flight? That's an interesting one, Remy. I would say, for the Curious Princess, this is for us, for our 4-year-old daughter, she has her own tablet. It's just for her, kid's tablet in a kid's case. She also has her own cell phone. It's one of my old Android phones. And so we've got the two. We've got the tablet. If that fails, then she could absolutely use the phone. That is like one reason why we bring both devices. The other reason why we bring both devices is like the bigger iPad is better maybe for the hotel room, and the smaller phone is better for like restaurant, car, something like that. But yes, entertainment for kids I think is very, very important. Last resort I guess would be mom and dad's phone or tablet. But we made that mistake when we took the Curious Princess back to Grandma and Grandpa's house in Taipei with Dad's really expensive iPad Pro is what she was using to watch cartoons on hard floors in Grandma's house. Oh, that was a cracked screen on the iPad Pro. Luckily in Taipei, they can repair them pretty cheap. We would not have been so lucky had that happened to us in Southern California. Mistake number 27 would be forgetting your swimsuit if you're going to a beach destination or a water park. And I'm going to you might be like, Chris, how would I forget if I'm going to those places? I know I'd pack it for those places. I bring my swim trunks. I bring my swim trunks many places, even if I don't plan to go in the water, because I might find out there's like a really cool pool that I might want to use. And so if I don't have swimwear, I can't use it. So I've usually got a pair of swim shorts with me. Mistake number 28 is waiting until late at night at the destination to unpack. Why is this a mistake? Well, because you might have been a late night packer the night before and you might have forgot something, and you want to find out whether you forgot something, particularly if there's something critical you're doing tomorrow. Like you're like, tomorrow I need this, and this to do this activity. You'll want to make sure you have it. And so if there are those things, then like when I get to the hotel room, I'll unpack and find those things and like put those things out to be like, okay, I need to make sure I have this, or this. Otherwise, I need to go buy it. Like if I'm going to a wedding, I need to be like, okay, I'll take out my clothes, make sure, do I have my belt? Do I have my tie? If not, then I need to get to Ross, Dress for Less, before they close at 10 p.m. to get myself another tie. Mistake number 29. Mistake number 29 is packing into more bags than you can carry yourself. I see this all the time where people end up in airports and they got all these different things and they got to wheel it and they can't get into the shuttle bus to get to the parking lot. Like, seriously, think about what it is that you can personally carry along with you or your group and bring that. And if it's more than that and you need help, then you need help and you need to like hire some help or you need to get some help. But like, don't be this one person who's trying to carry like all these bags. These are bags for 3. These aren't bags for just 1. And mistake number 30 is definitely not watching the Yellow Productions Guide to Packing. Yes, if you were like, Chris, how do you pack? And you're new here to the channel and you haven't seen it, I've got a whole hour-long video that I go into exactly how I pack things and how I roll things up and how I use packing cubes. If you're like, Chris, what is the right luggage for me? I've got a video all about that too that you can check out after this. We're going to head into Q&A in just a moment. But before I do that, I will say if you tuned in here towards the middle of the live stream, just a reminder that Level 8 is having a 20% off sale on their suitcases, good from now until July 17th. With this code, L8SS, if you use the link in the description, the pinned comment, or in the pinned chat. Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. If you've got a question, I've got an answer. All right, it is Q&A time. You got a question, I've got an answer. What questions do you have? While you do that, when we're thinking about fragile things or not fragile things, this is one that we brought back from Sedona, Arizona. It's a candle, because we were like, this is not fragile. we can put this candle in a suitcase and it won't break. This place, they just made these candles that, like, they're really cool if you turn them. I'm never going to light this candle because I just liked it as a yellow emoji thing, but if you do, then it like glows inside, so that is pretty neat. Okay. Bricks and Joystick says, Chris, do you have any experience with Turo in Vegas? Turo is a car sharing platform, kind of like Airbnb, ride sharing instead of hotel sharing. I have never used Turo. I've heard great remarks from people who have used it, but I personally have not. Boston Elevators asked if I can put the links to those videos in the description. I'll do that tonight, Boston Elevators. Thank you for that recommendation. So you won't have them there right now, but if you're watching the archive a day later, you'll have links to those packing guides and luggage choosing guides later. And so Boston Elevators come back tomorrow, and they'll be in the description. Grant says, Grab is big in Asia for Uber and food delivery. Danielle says, coming home from Europe in 2008, British Airways lost one of my mom and I's suitcases. It took 2 days for them to deliver it to my mom. What happened was the ramp agents at El Prat in Barcelona put the suitcase, and that got truncated. Where was the rest of it? Put the suitcase on a different flight than we were on. Yeah, that totally happens. We've had that before, too, where our suitcases have not ended up going to our destination. Like, we came home from Rome, Italy, to Los Angeles. We're like, where's our suitcases? And they're like, they're in Paris. Yeah, it's a good place for them. Luckily, we were coming home. It's really a drag when it happens on the way there. Windy City Elevator says, how often do you visit Vegas, and how many days do you normally stay in Vegas? Somewhere between 1 and 3 times a year is how often I visit Vegas, and I usually stay in Vegas about 3 days. I live really close, so it's a 4-hour drive to Vegas, so I don't stay for a long time because we're always going back. My favorite time to go to Vegas is around Christmas time, so between Thanksgiving and New Year's. There was a question about Brandon saying, does Japan have anything similar to Claritin D since I hate having allergies? Regular Claritin's okay. It's the Claritin D. It's like the decongestant part that they don't allow in Japan. But I don't know if they have some similar decongestant. Joyce says, how far out from a trip do you start packing? It depends how long the trip is or how big the trip is. But like when we did our Banff trip, which I would say is like a fairly complicated trip because we were packing for all weather situations, and we were going for 8 days, and it was OC Girl, myself, the Curious Princess. We started packing for that about a week out. Like a week out is when we started having like placing our stuff strategically to be like, okay, this, and then we are fully packed before we go to sleep the night before. So like call it like 10 o'clock at night or something the night before, fully packed, all the suitcases zipped up, they're just downstairs, and so then and that morning, then we can just take them out to the car and we go. There's like zero packing the morning of, other than like me putting a cell phone in a pocket or purse. Min Chi says, what did you do for July 4th this year, Chris? On July 4th, on July 3rd, we went to see the fireworks in Costa Mesa, California. They have a neat fireworks thing. On July 4th, we saw fireworks in Irvine. Overall, just kind of had a kind of relaxing day with fireworks at the end of each night. On July 4th, also, we saw the Amerigo Vespucci ship. There's a short that I published on it. You can check it out. It's a Italian naval training vessel that they call the most beautiful ship in the world. It's making like a world tour to show this thing off. I think to like promote tourism to Italy. They did like a Italian Air Force flyover in Los Angeles, which was really interesting too. Remy says, I'm going to Japan in August. How much cash would you say is good enough for 9 days? Remy, I'll answer it this way, which is I tend to, from an ATM, like I tend to take out about 40,000 yen when I get to Japan, which is about $400 US, and see how it goes. Maybe I need to get more later. Maybe I don't. But that's what I would personally take out when I start the trip, knowing that at any 7-Eleven I can go to and always get more money. Boston Elevator says, how many times has your luggage been lost? 3 times. My luggage has been lost 3 times, which I guess isn't that many over the course of all these travels, but when it happens, it really, really sucks. Karen says using air tags can help find your lost luggage. It sure can. Colonel Zeppelin says, do you have any tips packing specifically for cruises? We've only ever been on one cruise, and so I don't know that I'm the world's authority in cruises to give the perfect tips for that. I might have to think about, is there like a repackaging or other thoughts I can offer on that, but probably not right now because it's time for...
Yes, it's the time you've been waiting for. It's time for the giveaway.
All right, fellow explorers, in every live stream, I always give away a Yellow Productions crew shirt with this logo on it right here to someone who answers one of my questions. The first person who answers this question correctly will win the Yellow Productions crew shirt. And my question for you is, dun dun dun, what city and state did I get this candle? If you can tell me what city and state I got this candle from, then I will send you a shirt wherever in the world you are. If you aren't able to win one and you still want to pick one up, you can do that at the Yellow Production shop. The link's right here. And if you're wondering, Chris, when is the next video? There will be no live stream next week. Live streams will come back the week of July 22nd. If you want to know when and what the topic will be, sign up for the Yellow Productions updates, the mailing list that I always send out, notifications of new videos and live streams as soon as they are scheduled. All right, let's see in the chat who is our winner.
And now we have a winner chicken dinner.
All right, this is really competitive. There are a lot of correct answers. The first person on my screen to give a correct answer is Lisa Lee. Congratulations, Lisa. You said Sedona. Ooh, but I said city and state. So, Lisa, I'm sorry. We're going to have to go to the next winner, which is Janelle Travels, Sedona, Arizona. That is correct. Janelle, you are the winner. Panjo was 1 second after you. So, Janelle, yes, you are the winner. Panjo's going to be like, Chris, but I typed out Arizona. That's what made me slower. I'm going to give it to Janelle. All right, Janelle, you know how to get a hold of me. Send me an email, chris@yellow-productions.com, size and address, and I'll get another Yellow Productions crew shirt headed right out to you. You deserve one for sending in this awesome photo of the shirt at Resorts World in Las Vegas. Lisa, I love that you have your shirt in your icon as well. All right, well, fellow Yellow Explorers, it's been a pleasure hanging out with y'all today. If you are in some place that is a heat wave, I hope you stay cool. As usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in the next video, live stream in about 2 weeks. And later this week, my Banff travel guide is coming out. That one, if you're going to Banff, should be really good. So stay tuned for that one later this week. All right, see you in the next video.